Hey guys, so welcome to the second day of Dyspraxia Awareness Week. It's Monday the 9th of October. I should not have had to look at my bullet journal for that. Although, I mean, I am filming this in advance, so give me a break. I thought I'd make today's video a little more personal than yesterday's, where I was talking a lot of facts about dyspraxia, and talk today about my diagnosal story. I've actually been diagnosed with dyspraxia 3 times now, so there's a lot of content for today's video. I thought I'd do my diagnosal story because sometimes it helps if people are still struggling to be diagnosed, to hear how other people went through it, what happened, like how it worked, or maybe just you want to hear other people's process, compare it to yours, and like how yesterday's video was very much a basis for the rest of the week, this is the basis for the things you're going to hear about me for the rest of the week. My face, my stories, all about me. So I was first diagnosed with dyspraxia when I was about 8. I know that because I was in year 3. I believe it was my year 3 teachers that referred me. My parents can correct me. I should have probably asked them when I was on FaceTime in prep for the video. But yeah, I believe it was my year 3 teachers that referred me. They kind of knew something wasn't quite right, even though like I was super I don't want to be like, I was super smart, but I was like in top set in year 3 for stuff. They're not in the shot, that's sad. But yeah, so I was like fairly intelligent as a kid, but there was still something that was just not quite right. So they sent me for referral, and my first diagnosal happened at the local hospital. There were 2 occupational therapists there when I did it, and a lot of the rest of the details are fairly hazy because I was 8, but luckily my second test followed the exact same structure. So I can kind of tell you some of the things that happened in that test. There was a lot of, I remember cutting out a circle very clearly with little like classroom scissors with the red handle and the circles. You know the ones I'm talking about. So I had to cut out a circle. There were things with like beads where I'd have to move the beads or create pattern with the beads. And then a lot of that was testing fine motor skills, and they were sat down at a desk. And then we also did exercises stood up, so balancing things. I had to run down a corridor and they timed me. And yeah, so it came out that yeah, I did have dyspraxia after that test. And I remember after that, at the same place where I was first diagnosed, I went to like these sessions. They were on a Thursday morning, I believe. I don't really remember. This was in year 4 now, I think. Details are hazy. I'm 19. This was over 10 years ago. And these sessions, again, they were at the hospital, at a little, but not like inside the hospital. There was like a little building that we later got told was transformed into a like swine flu centre. I don't know what it is now that the swine flu epidemic is over, but at the time it's where the DCD clinics happened, developmental coordination disorder. Yeah, and I was in a group with other people my age, so other 8 and 9-year-olds, and we'd just do little games and stuff that were meant to help our like coordination and fine motor skills. Like we did, has anyone ever played the game, because I played it elsewhere, outside of these sessions, where you would roll a dice, and if you rolled 6, then you'd have to like put on an item of clothing, like hats and scarves and stuff, and then you'd cut chocolate until someone else rolled a 6, and then it would go over again. We did that to like check how we use knives and forks. I then got told to start using special knives and forks. Oh, try and find a picture somewhere. We had to buy them off like a rehab website. It was all hilarious, but now I can hold my knife and fork properly. So all worth it in the end. We did like other activities like that, just all based around seeing where our issues lied with this where the issues were and what could be done to help them. And I remember just thinking it was an absolute blast. I used to like not be in school for those mornings. I'd go straight from the hospital to school, but yeah, it was so much fun. I didn't even realise that I was different at that point. I was just like, this is something fun I get to do because I'm me. And then, so yeah, that's the first time I was diagnosed, when I was like 8, and then when I was 9, I kept going back to the hospital to do more things to do with dyspraxia, and then everything's all good, everything's chill. We'll talk about dyspraxia in school more tomorrow, how I dealt with that. And then, so we're skipping ahead a lot of time until my GCSEs. So I had to be so I don't really know where the cut-off age is for GCSEs, like what point you would have had to already been diagnosed for that diagnosal to work, but because I was 8 when I was first diagnosed, I needed another diagnosal before my GCSEs because it had been a long time. But this was the year before people would usually be diagnosed, have like extra time and stuff for their GCSEs, because I did maths a year early. I was also doing a component of my class of AS in year 10, which, I mean, maths, it didn't matter as much because there wasn't much writing going on, but the class of was essays, all essays about the Odyssey. Ugh, it was so bad. So I had to make sure that I had everything in place, extra time, laptop wise, other stuff. Again, we'll talk about dyspraxia in school tomorrow, ready for my GCSEs, but year early because I was doing some exams in year 10 rather than year 11, which is important. Remember that. You'll be tested later. You won't, don't worry. So because, as I mentioned earlier, the place that I was tested at the hospital was no longer there really, it wasn't used for the same purpose, I was sent to a healthy living centre where I lived to be diagnosed for a second time. And actually at this diagnosal, it was again with an occupational health, occupational therapist, I don't know, you know, OP, yeah. It was this one, so there were 2 people at my first diagnosal, and it was one of them there again, and it was the same guy, and he remembered me, he recognised me. He said that he'd tested a few other people that I used to go to that group with that were all coming up to exams at this point. And so he kind of like, he was very chill about the whole thing. I did pretty much the same exercises and he knew the outcomes, and he just gave me what I needed because he knew me as a kid, because he'd also run the sessions that I went to as well as diagnosing me, so he knew that the extra support I needed and how important it was that I got this extra time and the laptop for my GCSE exams, and then that diagnosal also worked for my A-levels. But then I came to start looking around universities, and they were like, so an important thing for me looking around universities, which a lot of you will find probably as well, that is different for other people, was that at open days I wanted to find the disability support people. I wanted to talk to them. I wanted to know that everything was going to be okay if I chose that uni, that I could get what I needed. It was important. It was just as important as my department, I believe. And whenever I spoke to people at university open days, I was met with the same issue. Because I was 15 when I was diagnosed for the second time, it was too young for the diagnosal to work at university as well. So I cried on the inside every time. So because I'd done early GCSEs, most people, the reason they have the 16 age cutoff is because at that point everyone's been tested for their GCSEs and so you can just transfer the same notes. So the exams that I did in year 10 ended up like you know, causing a bit of a hindrance later on down the years, even though I got an A in that maths exam. Heck yes. I ended up resitting the classes, but that's not the point of this story. So the answer they always told me was that I either pay to get myself like assessed again before I got to uni, or I waited till I got there. And so I waited because it was quite a bit of money to pay to have it done again. And I was like, I've already had this twice, I don't want to pay again. I mean, I didn't pay before because I was like, you know, covered by the NHS, but then this time I was too old, I had to pay. So I waited till I got to uni, and in my first week I went straight to the Disability Support Centre, and I was like, right, you emailed me before, they'd sent my reports from the last 2 tests, so I'd like scanned it all in and sent it off so that it made it all easier, and then they gave me a voucher to book with other people. Oh, I could get that voucher done with the EGS, which is the Educational Guidance Service, I believe. So I called them that evening, got a test for the following week. No, it was 2 weeks after, which was last Monday at this point, and this is where the story complicates, and why I'm actually glad that I didn't get to record this video at the point I wanted to record this video, because bear in mind this is my 3rd test, and it did take a very different structure to the other 2 diagnosals that I'd had in the past. It was a lot more writing and written based. I only did one practical thing, which was with cubes and making patterns out of them. We did a lot of finding shapes and memory tests. And yeah, once again it came out as dyspraxia, like big surprise there, eh? But I also found out I was dyslexic in that test, which I find rather interesting considering how much I've been under the eye of Senkos and OCs and just so many people, and this is the first time, 11 years after my first diagnosal and 2 schools later, that I've found out that I'm also dyslexic. So yeah, crazy, right? And I need to wait 3 weeks for the reports from that diagnosal to be sent to my university, when my university will then contact me to make an appointment to talk about the support I'm going to get. I know that she's already written on 25% extra time in exams and a word processor, which to be honest was the minimum I was hoping for when I came out there. It's basically what saved me in GCSEs and A-levels, and if I couldn't have it here I would not sure what I'd do in exams. It would be so much anxiety. And then we're also going to have a little appointment and talk about the other support I'll get for my dyspraxia in class, and also to figure out what the heck I'm going to do with this dyslexia I now have, which I think is more important for me at this point because I know how to deal with dyspraxia. You're going to find out tomorrow how I dealt with dyspraxia in school. I have no clue what to do with dyslexia. It makes sense now that I've looked at all the writings about it. It makes sense that I do have this thing, but I've never dealt with it in the past because I just assumed they're all parts of me, but they're not things that everyone else has to deal with. And so I'm quite excited to actually find out what support I'm going to get for it. But anyway, that's my little dyspraxia diagnosal story. It happened 3 times. Let's share stories down in the comments. Give this video a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it, and if you've learned something new, share this video with all your friends to spread dyspraxia awareness week further. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.